Hey y'all, it's Tuesday. Sorry we didn't make it on yesterday. We went and did hospital visits as that's the only day that pastor has off, so that's what we did yesterday was go do hospital visits and home visits and things such as that. So we weren't able to get on yesterday. The weather has kind of cooled down a little bit, but it's supposed to get to 91 today, so I don't know how cool that really is. There's still playing baseball and softball and football, and it's been awfully warm. So pray for those kids that are out participating in that, and just ask the Lord to be with them. Hopefully coaches are making sure they stay hydrated and all those things. Today, as I was praying and asking the Lord what he would have me to speak on, I have a heavy heart today, and I'm not really sure why. I just know it's heavy today. There's a lot of decisions that I'm having to make that aren't fun, or I'm just not prepared for, but the Lord is dealing with that. But in that, it was hard for me to sit still and put myself aside and hear what the Lord has for me. So I take sermon notes. I take them every week. I have 2 notebooks in here now. One's full, and this is the new one. And I have for years. I mean, I have notebook upon notebook at home that have sermon notes in them. I have for years. It's just something that I've always done because I like to go back sometimes and remember what was going on that period. And because I also write in my Bible the date and the passage that was preached on. But he sent me to my sermon notes, and he did that one day last week as well. And this is when Brother Levi was here, just in July, so just last month, when Brother Levi was here. And it starts in John 20:19 through 23. And it says, that evening on the first day of the week, the disciples were meeting behind locked doors. That's important, locked doors, because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders. Suddenly, Jesus was standing there among them. "Peace be with you," he said. As he spoke, he held out his hands for them to see, and he showed them his side. They were filled with joy when they saw their Lord. He spoke to them again, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I send you." Then he breathed on them and said to them, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you've forgiven anyone's sins, they are forgiven. If you refuse to forgive them, they are unforgiven." On this particular day, when they were gathered behind locked doors, Thomas wasn't with them. And it goes on into verse 26. It says, 8 days later, the disciples were together again, and this time Thomas was with them. The doors were locked. But suddenly, as before, Jesus was standing among them. He said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and see my hands. Put your hand in the wound on my side. Don't be faithless any longer. Believe." "My Lord and my God," Thomas exclaimed. He knew immediately who he was. He got to see him. He got to see the wounds. He knew immediately who he was, and he proclaimed that, "My Lord, my God." So he knew that Jesus was sent by God. He knew that Jesus was a part of the Trinity. He knew that, and he recognized that. Then Jesus told them, "You believe in me. You believe because you have seen me. Blessed are those that haven't seen me and yet believe anyways." The reason I wanted to talk about this is it talks about being behind locked doors. Sometimes we have to shut the door. We have to shut the door on a situation that is causing us extreme heartache or extreme pain or extreme anxiety or extreme fear. We have to shut that door. We have to be the one. Sometimes we have to shut the door of the negativity in our mind, not allowing that to speak over us anymore, because that's what happens. We leave that door open and it just pours in. Just like if you left your door open during a rainstorm, your vehicle would be totally wet, totally just destroyed by the moisture. But we have to be the ones to shut the door and stop the enemy. We allow him in way too often when we start having a pity party, when we start doubting. Like Thomas said, I have to see him before I can believe. And God granted him that. And what a magnificent thing that he was granted that. We don't have that opportunity to see that. But if we look around us, we can see God every single day. We can see him in the small things, the big things, these things, that things. My cousin texted me yesterday about her son. Said he had some spots in 2 different places in his body. And doctor came back and said he felt like the ones in his lungs was just from having had COVID. The other spots they weren't sure of. And there could be something. This morning he had to go, he's a tow truck driver, and he had to go tow for a person, and that person happened to work in an oncologist office. And that wasn't just a mistake. That wasn't just a happenstance. That was God. God put that person in his life, and she started asking him some questions about, well, what was this level in your blood? What was this? What was that? And she said, well, all of those levels point to no evidence of any kind of cancer. So he got a little bit of reassurance. That's how God works sometimes. But we have to close the door on the negativity, on that this is the worst thing possible. I have always admitted that I always go to the worst scenario possible, because then I'm not disappointed when something bad happens, because I've already prepared myself for it. But that's not healthy for me either. That is not healthy for me at all. And I'm learning that. I'm learning that when I do that, things start cratering, things start falling, I don't feel well, or whatever it may be. I have to close the door on that. We have the capability to close the door on the things that are trying to come up against us. They locked the doors the first time because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders. We need to lock the door because we're afraid of the negativity that's trying to take over our life. Not in a fear mode, but in a fear that we know that we need to take care of this. That this has to be something that we take care of, that we stop. God's not, Mike has always said, God doesn't put a breaching charge on you and 3, 2, 1, execute, and blows things open. The same way God doesn't do 3, 2, 1, let's close it back up. He doesn't do that either. He expects us to take control of some things in our life. That's why he gave us free will. So sometimes you have to shut the door. And when you shut the door and you stop the things, Jesus appears, just like he did. He appeared to them. He breathed on them the Holy Spirit. When we shut the door and get quiet and get in our closet and get peaceful, the Lord will come in and say, peace be with you. And we can start seeing what he's talking about. Sometimes we don't know what door needs to be shut. And that was my prayer this morning as I was doing my Bible study. Lord, I don't know how to pray this morning. I really don't know how to pray. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to trust you. But show me what door to open and show me what door to close. And I'm thankful that he does that for us. But sometimes we get so hesitant to close that door because that door is in our comfort zone. We have that box in that door, and we're in that box, and we don't want to get out of that box and do what God's asked us to do. So we leave that door open. That door that will allow the negativity to come in, that will allow the doubt to come in, that will allow the fear to come in, that will allow all of these things to come in, instead of just shutting that door and saying, not today. Not today, not tomorrow, not the next day. That door is closed. You no longer have access to me. You no longer have access to my emotions. You no longer have access to my mind. I'm stopping it today. The negativity, the doubt, the worry, the fear, whatever it may be, the pornography, the lust, whatever it may be, you have that opportunity to close that door and allow the Lord to give you the peace that you need to leave that door closed and to move on with what he has called you to do. Because he's called each one of us. He's chosen us. We are a chosen people. He knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. He chose you. And when we stop and we sit back and we think about that, what an honor it is to be chosen. To be his child, to be in him, and he allow us to close those doors, and he comes in and gives us the peace that we need. So today, when you think about things that are going on in your life, think about, do I need to close a door? Is there a door I need to close? I need to slam it shut. And is there a door I may need to open because I've not allowed myself to see what God has, because I have that door closed and I may need to open it. So today I pray that you will allow the Lord to speak to you about your doors that may need to be closed. I know he spoke to me as I sat over at my desk earlier and prayed about, Lord, where do I need to go? What do I need to say? And he sent me to this. He said, open those sermon notes and look at that. And I knew it was Brother Levi's message, but I didn't know which one, because Brother Levi was here for a little bit, and I didn't know which one it was. But as soon as I started reading the notes, I knew this is where he wanted me. So shut the door, allow a peace of God to come in, flood your soul, get quiet, and just be obedient to what he has for you. Because he has a perfect plan for you. We wander off that plan sometimes. We dive off the deep end of that plan sometimes. That doesn't mean he leaves us. And God's not mad at you. If you are going through a really, really hard time, if you've had a sickness, or if you've had financial difficulty, if you've had car trouble, if you've had everything, God's not mad at you. He's not punishing you. He doesn't work that way. Just know he's there in the midst of every trial that you are going through. Lean into him. Allow him to comfort you. Climb up in his lap and say, Daddy, I need a hug, and I need to rest right here in you. And he will allow that. So today, close the door if it needs to be closed. Open one if it needs to be opened. And men, tonight, don't forget you have a Bible study, a men's meeting at 7 in the multipurpose building. Women, we will meet tomorrow morning at 10:30 here in the sanctuary. We will have youth tomorrow. We are also feeding the football team on Thursday evening at 6. So that is the Yale football team. So that's coming up as well. I hope that you all have a great rest of your day. You stay cool, stay hydrated, enjoy the day, no matter what you're doing. And remember, just allow God to walk you through whatever needs to happen in your life today, whether it's closing a door, opening a door, or praising him in the hallway, because sometimes that's what we have to do. Have a great day, and I hope to see y'all tomorrow.